Mate, the upsell in the wedding vendor is just incredible.
Incredible business to be in, though. To be
Well, you
honest,
don't
I've
care.
always
Yeah,
thought
you don't care
Yeah.
about the most important day of your life.
Yeah. Oh my
You're not going to do the $2,500 upsell on the photography package.
yeah.
The photography package.
Also, the flowers are crazy.
The
though.
drone
The
footage.
flowers.
You don't want the drone footage?
Yeah.
Mate, the gatekeeping on the wedding photography is insane.
All right, welcome to another episode of Not Investment Advice. You got Jack Butcher, Trung Phan, Bilal Zaidi. What's going on, boys? AMA episode. But should we get straight into it here, boys? This is a question we saved from a few weeks ago. Olivia Reingold asks, why did Abercrombie become cool in the UK 2012, just as it was becoming uncool in the US? How does that work? Perfect one for Jack Butcher. And expect loss. Then the second part, she was saying, I've also heard Abercrombie is back in for Gen Z and Alpha in the US. Does that mean it's now officially uncool in the UK? So let's break it down into two parts, because I know we've all kind of we've talked about doing a segment on Abercrombie. So this was pretty interesting because it essentially had a massive comeback last year.
Well, before we talk about the massive comeback, let's talk about what did it come back from? What was its heyday? So I'm going to ask you guys, what does Abercrombie and Fitch mean to you? Go, Bilal.
It was like, Jack, you must have had some of these polos going too, yeah?
Jack was definitely an A&F guy. Oh my
God. I might have to pull one up. We might have to pull while you're talking.
I had some classics, yeah.
Listen, I'm just gonna say straight, man.
That
Jack
athletic fit, boys.
Jack could have been an AF. Jack could have been an A&F model. I'm just saying it right now, man.
He probably was.
I'm just saying
you do
it right
a little
now.
side gig in it, Jack.
Right
I remember.
Man.
Back in the
Jack,
day,
because what wasn't it? So for people who don't not remember, there was like the models in the store too, right? Wasn't that Abercrombie?
But what were they doing? What were the models doing?
The big thing was these lads would stand outside shirtless
with the top off, yeah.
2% body fat, human billboards. That was like the signature of it, right? And I think that got exported eventually to the UK, but it was a thing in the States. I remember, when did I, like 2009, 2010, the Broadway, they had a store on Broadway.
Yeah.
And then maybe a couple years after that's when it started to to kick off in the UK.
I think they've still got the one in Broadway, by the way.
No, they got let's just do it now.
But they ditched all the flesh is gone now, right? They don't do that anymore.
Yeah. It's a complete rebrand.
It's part of the turnaround. Here it is. They had the horniest ads ever. We're just call it is what it is, right? look how wait, hold on. Look at how horny these ads were. Hold on. I'm just scrolling my window here. Look at this. Hold on, people.
There we go. Black and white too. Still keeping it clean. Look at that.
Very tasteful.
Look at this. You look at this.
Oh wow, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Boston Herald.
Yo, we're gonna get demonetized before we're monetized. Okay, so it was 90s Abercrombie was sex sells, right? Everyone knows this. And then also legendarily, I know all of us used to go to the mall, right? What happened when you walked by an Abercrombie? What happened? Why don't you guys tell me right now?
The smell.
Yes.
Yeah, that's some.
Yes, they were pumping cheap cologne that just smelled like just a frat bedroom after at 2 a.m. If you guys know what I'm saying, just like disgusting, right? But like that smell was part of the whole shtick. But for people who don't know, Abercrombie and Fitch in the 2010s went through some pretty shisty stuff. Obviously the vibe shift. We're coming back from that vibe, but that vibe, the Me Too era type of stuff was going on. I believe actually the former CEO, I don't have the name here, but I believe he was involved in lawsuits around him hiring male models and then I think pushing them into sex against their. It wasn't straight. It wasn't rape, but it sounded like sexual harassment. Yeah. He had to leave the company. So this company, just a TLDR, was it's pretty old school. Damn. David Abercrombie founded a upscale sporting goods store in 1892. And then later partnered with 1892, partnered with Ezra Fitch. That business went out. That company went out of business in the late 1970s, and then that's when they kind of turned the road to the crazy 90s stuff. Limited Brands purchased Abercrombie & Fitch in 1988. Oh, here's the guy, Mike Jeffries. Very controversial. He was the one that created those ads we just saw, like that whole thing. I think there's actually a Netflix documentary of Abercrombie and Fitch. Okay, but let's pause there.
By the way, boys, I found the picture. Here we go. While you're
hit it.
talking. This is Exhibit A, boys. This is an embarrassing picture, but look at it. Me and the boy, LA trip. It was actually, I think this is a later gram. So it was back in the day. My boy, I think Muz might even listen to the show on the left, Alex Benty on the right. But this is a classic look from back in the day.
Yo, for the listeners, Bilal is swagging. He's got the sunnies on.
So bad.
He's got, wait, are you rocking the green polo?
It's a green polo. And I think I had a blue version of the same one. I mean, a classic look. I will say her original message said becoming cool in 2012. I will say it was probably cooler before that, and it was I was still rocking it. It was older.
What date was that photo? 2013.
That was 2013, I think. But I definitely had it way before then. It was just I had to recycle it.
I need you to answer this question. Were you wearing sunglasses because of the Kanye West line? Sunglasses and Advil. Last night. What was last night?
Was Mad Real? Is that the line?
Yeah.
Probably was. It probably was Mad Real, to be honest. That was a good era, 2013.
Okay.
Good times. But anyway, so let's break the question into two parts. One is, why did it turn around recently? And then also specifically around why it got to maybe the UK or other places a bit later.
Right. Let me show you guys this chart here. So this was actually this time last year was when you guys see how crazy this chart is. This is the 5-year stock chart for Abercrombie versus Nvidia.
I said it looks like
that's
a fart
mad.
coin.
Yeah. So Nvidia's up 22 times over that span. Abercrombie's up 8 times. But there was a moment last year when you guys see it here? They were close. It was like people were making pretty hysterical jokes like, wow, if you had bought Abercrombie 5 years ago instead of Nvidia, you would have been the same result. However, Abercrombie's down 70% year to date. I have no idea why. I'm assuming some of it was just because it shouldn't have been overvalued in the first place. Part of it might be with tariffs. I'm guessing they import some stuff. But let me get to the meat of the issue here. So they got rid of the former CEO from the mid-2010s. This is the guy that came in after Mike Jeffries. And then sexual harassment related lawsuits, etc., et cetera. Not to, try to brush over that, but I just don't know the full details. Okay, here's the article that came out last year from The Cut. Okay? So very interesting stuff's going on. You kind of touched on it, Bilal. You said that they changed their advertising. So if one of you guys want to pull up
product
the most
line,
recent,
to be fair, and price point, I think a lot of things.
So let's talk through it right now. So it's all connected. The product line was, if we're being honest, focused on complete douchebags. Male douchebags were the target market. I own multiple polos, right? Yeah. Young male douchebags was a target market.
Aspirational douchebag, essentially.
I was just
Jack,
looking
pull
for
it. What did you
proof.
own? You're looking,
Trung,
right?
we need the Jack version. And Trung, you got to pull up some receipts here.
Where's yours? How do I
can't
do
be
it?
the only one looking like a
I've
dick
done
here.
triple polo. I've done it before.
I got you beat for sure.
Yeah,
brother.
I've done it. Okay, but here comes Jack.
Oh, there we go. Yo, this is incredible. Wait.
Is that A&F? Is that Aber?
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. The little moves on there.
Beautiful.
Dude, you are
with the
4
4 buttons down, boys.
With the
Where is
Blackberry.
this?
Blackberry.
Is that Longbow?
This
Longbow
must be
on the
back?
windowsill there. This will be some university town.
Oh my God,
Southampton,
beautiful.
Cardiff, somewhere like that.
Was this after
Horrible.
work at the
Bournemouth.
Hyundai factory on the way to Ibiza?
When was this? This is 2010. So,
just after
mate,
uni there.
hey, we front running the trend. 2010.
There we go.
I
You
probably
beat
got
me to
100
it there.
photos in that shirt too. I left. I rode that till the wheels came off, boys.
When it
that
works,
shirt.
it works, Jack. You
The
just gotta
threads
keep
were
it
coming
going.
off. The pits were already yellow. Just rode it, right?
Bleached.
All right.
Had to be bleached.
I
Yeah,
What
love
was it?
This is
Lyland
a-
Scott. It was in the rotation with Lyland Scott, All Saints, all of those. Ed Hardy, 2008, 2007.
Super dry.
Oh my God, there we
But
go.
Superdry still slaps though. That's a Japanese brand, right?
A little
That still
Avisu
goes-
if you
yeah.
go back a little bit more.
Oh, yeah.
If you, depending
Oh, yeah.
on how
Super
rude
Dry
boy you
would have
were.
had,
There we
like,
go.
That was private company, but Superdry was lit like every other person
yeah.
you walk past wearing Superdry
Was
back
rocking?
in, what was that, 2007, 2008?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, incredible. All right, sorry, Trung, we stopped you.
No, that was well worth the detour, guys.
And
this
we
is
got to find a
vibes app.
triple
I got
polo
one more
version.
for you, actually, Bilal.
Yeah,
Do it.
hit it,
Franklin
hit
and
it.
Marshall.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Franklin and Marshall.
Yeah, classic.
Remember that?
Classic as well. Well, it's going to
Isn't that
come
just
into
like
a
a-
question because she's asked about the UK, so I do want to.
No. Well, you guys
that.
kind of touched on. You're touching on it right now. It's great. All
Yeah.
right, let me get to how it turned around. So I got a new CEO. That CEO's name is Fran Horowitz Bonadies. Okay. Oh yeah. So Mike Jeffries was the dude involved in the sexual harassment stuff. Sexual misconduct in the office is the official term here. So here's how she turned it around. Young male douchebag, small demo people. So she expanded it, try to make it more female friendly. Instantly doubled the total addressable market of Abercrombie and Fitch. Smart, right? They were selling, and they're targeting a certain range. This I found interesting because what's the low end fast retailers that you guys would off the top of your head?
Well, like
Who's the low
Zara,
end?
you mean like
Yeah.
fast fashion, like
H&M.
Zara, H&M,
Exactly. Bingo.
Primark,
Zara, H&M,
Uniqlo.
Yeah. And then what do you guys think is the higher end kind of that range? I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Are you
But
talking about
not
hiring
quite.
of street of
Of kind of like
of fast
that
fashion?
body of the fast fashion. If you had H&M, Zara at one end, what would kind of be?
Would you
know,
count
maybe
like
All that shit's
Neiman Mar-
expensive now too.
yeah, it's
Neiman
true.
Marcus?
Neiman
Yeah,
Marcus.
yeah.
Yeah, I guess there's
maybe
Would Neiman
Nordstrom.
Marcus? Yeah, Nordstrom, Neiman Marcus. That's kind of the idea, right? Like
where would you put
Nordstrom,
like
Neiman
Gap,
Marcus.
J Crew? Where would they'd be slightly higher?
I think
than
J.
those 'cause
Crew
price
would be
point-
near the
Slightly,
Neiman
yeah.
J. Crew would
Marcus.
be higher, yeah.
So, but there was like this division, right? So Abercrombie, or the strategy was to kind of come in the middle. And I think we touched on something interesting. Nobody goes to Neiman Marcus or Nordstrom anymore, right? We've seen their problems that they've had. So Abercrombie kind of filled this middle ground where a little bit more expensive than Zara and H&M, but definitely less expensive than Neiman Marcus. So just to give you guys the breakdown of the marketing, doubled its TAM going after women, and then expanded and targeted a certain price point. And here's the other interesting part. They, this was actually not that interesting. This is just kind of like marketing 101 and why they might, I don't know how sustainable this is. They benefited a lot from TikTok, like the nostalgia.
Yeah.
A lot of TikTokers were buying Abercrombie, even though they had gotten rid of the young douchebag kind of look. Just the name brings back memories, right? Is like, and
Yeah, because
they
I think
targeted
even
that.
just if you look at the fashion, it'd gone more streetwear, it'd gone baggier clothes, like kind of imitating 2000s as well. So that was just recycling back up across the board, not just
Yep.
Abercrombie. And then so I think fit wise, it was just a lot more modern. It wasn't like you said the polos. People weren't wearing those. People haven't been wearing those.
No,
for
yeah,
a
it's
while.
not the polos. They're just bringing back the name, and specifically for women, this is actually very relevant. The big TikTok trend that they really blew up on was Abercrombie and Fitch were selling women's bridal outfits. So, like, if you're having a wedding and you didn't want to, break the bank, you'd ask all your bridesmaids to like go to Abercrombie and Fitch, which is kind of crazy.
That's
like,
mad, yeah.
I can tell you right now, the wedding market is what they would call
my
inelastic.
That's price
you
inelastic
just-
demand. We
you
talked
make
about
it
before.
work, right? Once you're already down, bro, Jack
When you're
knows the
down
drill.
50 to 100
Yeah.
grand, you're just like,
Yeah.
let's just keep throwing it in. What's
Park
like a
we-
7?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
It's like a
we
cheat
should
day.
actually do an entire episode
Another
yeah,
cookie.
about weddings. You're already the logic of weddings is so insane because you
So
start going down that path.
stupid.
Jack, as you start down, and then it's just like it's the most, it's the most special day. Then what point do you stop? There's no stopping, right?
Mate,
So
the
they-
upsell in the wedding vendor is just incredible.
unbelievable.
Incredible business to be in, though, to be
Well, you
honest.
don't
I've
care.
always
Yeah,
thought
you don't
about
care about the most important day of your life.
Yeah. Oh my.
You're not going to do the $2,500 upsell on the photography package.
yeah.
the photography package.
Also, the
drone-
flowers are crazy.
The
though.
drone
The
footage.
flowers.
You don't want the drone footage.
Yeah.
Mate, the gatekeeping on the wedding photography is insane. The watermarks.
It's crazy. Just as soon as
over
you
the-
go, the Walmart. But it's also crazy when you book a regular photographer. But then if you just check the toggle box for wedding, it just goes up 5 to 10x, like the minimum price. I
exactly.
worked on a wedding. I worked with David's Bridal for a long time, so they were like low end of price point. But I got to learn about that. 1 in 3 brides wear David's Bridal trunk.
Wow. Wait,
I
actually,
did
you
when
know
I
what?
worked on it a long time ago.
We're adding wedding economics to this episode, Bilal.
Incredible.
Okay, can I make an analogy? I want you to keep on
Long
cooking
time.
on
I
what
won't
you just
remember
said.
anything, but go for it.
No,
yeah.
but It's like when you're booking flights and hotels, and then they know what region you're in, then they change their prices based on the region. Like that's why you always go VPN, right? Like book from book from Botswana.
Or you start paying in euros instead of dollars. I just did that literally. I
just
saved
find like an African
£7.
currency, like or East Asian, Southeast Asian. I'm booking from Vietnam. Like, okay, this guy's not gonna be able to pay, right? But it sounds like, similar principle here with the wedding stuff, right? Like as soon as you toggle the wedding button, it's like.
Yeah, no, it's
Would
true.
you say wedding is one of the most expensive? Didn't you tell us weddings are one of the most expensive keywords?
I don't know. Well, it depends what part of the wedding, but yeah, I think legal is normally up there, mortgages,
Insurance.
stuff like that. Because if you think of lifetime value, they're hundreds of thousands. This is still a lot though. So even recently I was looking at something around like wedding bands and like, meaning like the music, not a ring.
Okay.
And those are pretty expensive as well. Can get quite expensive. Because did you guys have a band or music at your wedding? I take it, or DJ at least.
I had a mate of mine DJ.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
Wait, you had a mate? No, we had we got upsold at the venue.
You had the live performance package.
Hey, listen, do you want just a preset and give us a CD or on the most special day of your night, or do you want a DJ? What we're curious. Yeah, no, just let us know, man. I'm sure your guests would appreciate just the preset CD that you had.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah.
Well.
So
the Spotify wedding playlist probably blow away any of the.
It's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Just get the AI DJ
Trust
going.
the algorithm, guys. Yeah.
Listen, hold on. Now we're so down this route. Now let's go with it. What are the wedding go-tos? What song is coming on at a wedding that you're guaranteed? Just think of one. Which one?
I went to Kanye West in my head, but I don't know why. But that maybe because you mentioned Kanye West before. But I'm trying to think.
I got one for you guys.
Go on, hit it.
Come on, Eileen. You know that song is coming on.
Classic wedding track.
Yeah, that song's coming on.
Depends what sort of wedding. If you're at a brown wedding,
mine was a very personal one,
too.
just like off the personal playlist, man. Some Westlife.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you would know that, Trung. Yeah.
What's Westlife?
Flying Without Wings.
Oh, that's a good tune as well. That era of pop music was very good.
Oh,
what I'm saying? We're gonna have the guy in the comments talking about my taste of music in a minute here, but
I got two for you actually.
Westlife.
I got two guaranteed songs that when they hit at a wedding, either the tears will flow down the eyes or the dance floor is gonna get full. All right, here's the tears. Perfect, Ed Sheeran. Boom.
Oh yeah.
And here's one. All of Me, John Legend. Game over. Bro.
You know, I have this, Celia, I have this like hypothetical thing with her all the time where I say like retroactively designing a wedding playlist when I'm like, I wish I did the sequence all the way through. And I don't know, it's a very personal thing, man. You have to go with the crowd pleasers. You got to cross so many generations at a wedding, boys. You got to get the boomers up. You got to get the toddlers up. It's best to stick with the classics.
Well, that's why Come On Eileen. You're getting the boomers. You're getting the Come On Eileen.
Or little Calvin Harris, mate, like generational.
Artists
Rihanna.
Rave going on.
What's the Rihanna Calvin Harris one? That one just shuts down the house every time. Rihanna Calvin Harris.
What is that?
I can't.
We found love.
Either.
Game over. We found love.
Yeah,
dude.
Also, I was gonna say one of my friends who actually
this is what you came for.
Yeah.
Another
oh my
huge
god,
one,
dude. Yeah, there we
go. That's a classic.
I love where
too.
this is going, man.
I was gonna say real quick. There was one of my favorite music. One of my boys had a silent disco at the end of the night because it was in Spain and it was after a certain time, and they all went to Manchester Uni. So those guys are ravers. They don't play around. I think after 12:01 they had to stop the music. But then they basically everyone got these headphones and they play UK garage music for 2 hours. And then they just kept like old school 90s UK garage. It was like basically a uni night out, but until 4 or 5 a.m. Incredible idea when you got that constraint. Anyway, let's keep it moving. Let's talk quickly about the second part of that Abercrombie one real quick. We didn't answer, but why was it popular in the UK a bit later, let's say? I have a short answer to this, which we reference on the pod all the time, but I'd love Jack and Trunk's take, is we talk about adoption curve, obviously, all the time. And this is pre-TikTok, basically pre-Instagram-ish, right? Like Facebook was still the heavy social platform. And just now, any trend that goes live, it just straight away moves around the world very, very quickly. there, I still think it was pretty synonymous with UK, US, wasn't that far off. But I think there was a little bit of a delay on the adoption curve. Also, we had our own kind of style. We also have like European style that comes from Italy, France. UK has its own, classic tailoring vibes as well. So I don't know. What about you, Jack? You're the brand guy here, so I'm curious your take on that.
I don't know. I think you're spot on with the like mono culture media now, and like maybe even supply chain stuff now is like much more sophisticated than it was then. Like you could do a run of a couple thousand pieces for a week, and back then is like they've like a collection of stuff for a season would be a lot smaller than it is now, right? Like they cycle products so fast. But I always remember when I was like teenager, the reference point I had for America was American Pie. You remember, like, the red, like Solo Cup, frat culture, like those like old school. I think that was all like 2000, early 2000s, and like that stuff like physically caught up quite a bit later. I don't know if
that's a good point. Even like the prom, like, did you have a prom at school at the end?
Oh yeah,
I did.
My one just started
American
the
concept,
year,
right?
Yeah, it's American. We didn't have it until I think maybe my secondary, like my sixth form had it, but not.
Was it called a prom though?
They might have called
ball.
it prom.
Mine was called a leavers ball.
Leavers ball, yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. But you're right. There's a lot of those Americanisms.
Those pictures up, boys. Those are.
Wait, what's it called? What's it called?
Leavers ball.
Leavers ball. I had a linen suit with a purple shirt.
Yeah, purple. That was the purple era. Yeah,
horrible,
I definitely had a purple shirt too. Beautiful.
And
was it a white linen suit? What was the color of the suit?
It was like a beige linen suit. It was horrific.
That sounds like a good move. 2000s though, there were a lot of horrific.
Remember
things.
there was like a stretch Lincoln Navigator doing
dude,
like 10 pickups, doing like 10 pickups of the same people going to the same thing. You get in there for like 7 minutes.
Yeah, the limo. Yeah,
shipped out. Fuck, it's so stupid.
That's amazing.
Incredible. But yeah, there is another like, I don't know, the house party culture of that era too. Like, I don't think that's translated the same way it was when we were of that age, bro. It was
because also for us,
that's what you did.
I mean, in the UK, people drink way earlier, and in the US, one thing I've learned here is obviously you've got American wife as well, but like you can only drink when you're 21 here. Obviously, people do with fake IDs and stuff, but pretty much most of university, they're not really going out the way UK.
Not supposed to be.
In Europe, you can drink from 18, so people are going out to clubs and bars much earlier. Whereas here, I think it's a lot more like in the houses. You're having more like the fraternity style parties. People obviously go out, but it's not the same as us. It was like 5 days a week or 7 days a week. There's a student night out in different places, and everything's, legally people can drink and stuff. So anyway, but
I love where we took this Abercrombie
that was
episode.
That's what I said. We do the AMA first.
Wrap it up. We're done. It's just called the Abercrombie. Abercrombie High School episode. Abercrombie in high school.
All right. There's another question here. It's kind of related. Elena asked, brands you're loyal to and why. I feel like we might have been asked this in the past, but really quickly, kind of related. Let's get the brand. There's one other brand
That's
question.
A good one.
Yeah, I'll think about it while you guys. Anyone?
I got a stupid one. Apple.
Yeah, Apple. That's very.
You're locked in, mate.
Key.
You're going nowhere
right.
on that one.
That's probably the top one, actually.
Trying to think what else. Costco.
Oh my God.
Kirkland is up there for me.
That's definitely. I mean, you go Costco every week, right? Every week or two, you get.
I go every
72
2 weeks.
croissants.
Every 2 weeks. Well, here, let me. Here's a question. I'm workshopping a joke here. 3 levels of wealth. Tell me if this slaps. Okay.
There we go.
First level of wealth is you have a mini fridge.
Are you tweeting as we are doing this right now?
Yeah, always.
No, I'm not tweeting.
You can see his brain churning over there.
No. Well, I'm structuring a tweet in my head that I'm gonna use, but this is the joke.
Let's go behind the scenes. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Okay. First level of wealth is having a mini fridge. All right. Second level of wealth is you got the fridge and the freezer, which is all we got right now. What's the third level? Where's this joke going, guys? What's the third level of wealth?
Fridge in the freezer. What do you mean, fridge in the freezer?
No, fridge and freezer. Just
Like
the
together.
normal- Yeah.
But I thought you said the same. Yeah. All right. Yeah, third. I'm not sure if I got it yet, Trunk.
I would switch the place of those. Maybe I'm not understanding the joke, but isn't
Wait,
the
what
mini
was-
fridge? Isn't the mini fridge a like
More of a
additional
luxury. It's like additional. Yeah, it's additional. one.
No, okay. Actually, see,
You're
you're
thinking
helping
of like
me
a
here.
student mini fridge you
No,
have
I'm
in
saying,
your room or
I'm
something.
saying you only see. You're helping me workshop. Well, the third level is the whole point. I have a Costco membership, but I don't have a freezer in the garage, so it makes actually it useless. Like, the
big
value
one,
of
yeah.
having a Costco membership, Jack. How much more valuable is a Costco membership if you have a freezer in the garage? Because you can't even use it.
You need to store it somewhere. You're not putting in your little one.
All right,
yeah.
but it looks like the mini fridge didn't really hit there, so I'm gonna have to work on this, boys.
All right, we'll keep workshopping. All right. No, but wait. What was? Yeah. So other brands. I mean, Trung, you must have a coffee brand or something. What are you drinking there? You got?
No, this is unfortunately I'm drinking 7-Eleven coffee.
No.
But I know 7-Eleven has a bad name.
I'm trying to think what other brands. Honestly, that's quite a hard one. I think you said Apple is a good one. I would. If you asked me like 20 years ago, I was saying like Nike because all the sports equipment was Nike.
What variables are you using, Bilal?
What that I'm actually loyal to? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if I have many that I'm actually loyal to. I feel like to me, the question is, I wouldn't switch just because of the brand. That's probably what I think is loyal, right? Like,
no, but here,
I
this
would
is
buy
a good
Adidas.
point.
I would buy New Balance, Puma. Like I would, but like if I was 15, I would only wear Nike. That was the only thing we would wear back in the day.
Well,
For,
here,
like,
are you
sports.
loyal to Apple, for example, Jack?
Yeah.
Because it's actually. Are you loyal
it
to
locks
Apple
you in.
because you're actually loyal, or you're just so goddamn locked in? But this is the point, right?
No, I'm
Yeah,
loyal.
yeah.
I don't buy the Apple Cope stuff. It's like it's a exceptionally superior product.
Okay.
Yeah, fair
I'm
enough.
not
fair
like
enough. Yeah, I agree.
incredible product and ecosystem. Like, it would be like tearing my eyes out working on any other.
But I do think a part of it is for me anyway that I'm already in. It's like the switching cost. Like even for example, switching to a new iPhone, I'm not doing it because I don't want to go through the process of like upload, like switching over
You can't
like
be
the
offline
5
for 4
hours.
hours, bro.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Those 4 or 5 hours is enough of a friction for me to be like, I'll wait until my phone stops working. But like to move to an Android again would be even greater because you actually move into a new ecosystem.
I got two questions. I have a comment and a question for you, Bilal. So the comment is this. You're going to ride your iPhone until the wheels fall off like Jack rode the
Not
Abercrombie
literally,
in his
but
shirt
go on.
until
Yeah.
the threads like started pulling on the bottom. But secondarily, Bilal, you worked for Google, obviously.
Yeah.
Didn't
I
you
had
have
both.
to use an Android? So
No,
you
in the
probably
beginning
used
I
both
had
more than
Android
us.
and I actually preferred it. And then towards the end when I'm actually only switched when I moved to the States.
Wait, why did you prefer the Android? Explain to the listeners.
I just
This is important.
back 2010 to 12 or 13, I generally preferred like the customizability of it. Like the camera was really, really good as well. Depending on, they're both really good, but the integration with all the Google apps obviously was better.
There you go.
Yeah, the customizability was a big thing for me. So it was kind of just I could do a lot more with it when on the high end of the phone. But then after a while, once you get used to the iPhone, it's just easy, So like the notifications were way better on Android at the time before Apple introduced it. There was just a bunch of stuff I
Why were the
preferred.
notifications better?
Like for example, like nested notifications or like having multiple notifications from the same app came way later to iPhone than it did in Android. There were a lot of like features that they added after Android on the high end. So that's personally what I like.
Oh yeah, that's
But-
a running joke about iPhones, right? It's like they'll add a feature and the Android users will be like, we literally had this.
or like
years
widgets.
ago.
Like let's say widgets. Like on the iPhone, you can add like a little widget on your thing. I had that since 2010 when I first got the Android phone. You could put your calendar on one of the screens. Like you couldn't do it on iPhone until way later. There was just stuff like that I preferred. But like I said, it was just a personal preference. But in the US, the most people didn't use WhatsApp back then here. So like I would be texting them on regular text, and that was enough for me to be like, let me just switch it over. So I think that was probably the main reason. But
Okay, fair enough.
But I
So-
wasn't loyal to either one of those, to be honest.
All right,
just
so
kind of-
I like where this went though, because Jack actually defended Apple. He says he actually is loyal, thinks it's a great
Yeah,
product.
fair enough.
Loyal to a product. Nike, I'm same with you, Bilal. I was like, hey, if it's nice, I'll buy any shoe. Doesn't really matter. Like,
Yeah, not like
and-
we used to be. Yeah, they
yeah.
used to just run it, especially in like the sports, like football. For me, growing up, football, like their sneaker, like the trainers for them. It's like if you didn't have a Nike trainer, you would look like an idiot. So it was not the same.
What about
vibe.
okay? Well, let's switch it. How about
Boys,
jackets?
I do have one.
Okay,
I do have one. Starbucks.
Okay.
Oh, you
That's
did.
an interesting
Bilal
one.
did bring it up. So you will say more. What do you mean you're loyal?
To
You
me?
will only drink Starbucks coffee.
He looks like surprised.
Not only, but I'm saying I like.
You seek
Again.
it out.
Yeah, if I'm driving somewhere, I'm like, where am I going to get a cup of coffee? Am I going to gamble it on a little
On a
local
random,
joint,
yeah,
or
fair
am I
enough.
going to pump Starbucks stock at every opportunity I have?
There we go.
That's
That's
what I'm
true.
going to do.
Okay.
That's-
That's a fair
Consistent.
one. Fair.
Okay.
And I feel like that's like even with, I don't know, the like consumable stuff or like subscription stuff is more in line with the idea of loyalty, right? Like there are clothing brands that I like, but I wouldn't consider myself loyal to them.
Exactly.
Ones where
That's
I'm
kinda
like
how I feel
every
as well,
week,
yeah.
every week you're getting a direct debit from me. That's Apple. That's a bunch of streaming services I
Netflix.
never
That's
watch.
true.
Netflix.
That's true.
Netflix, you're probably
Spotify.
loyal. Yeah.
Lock-in.
Yeah.
Or the pain of undoing lock-in. Starbucks, I got my little rewards card now, boys. I
Yeah,
do the
there we go.
order
Yeah,
in
yeah.
advance. I held out on that for so long. I would wait in
What?
line.
Oh yeah, that's
Never-
unnecessary.
Why did you hold up?
I don't know. And then like I just thought it was like maybe it's an admission of addiction or something, you know, where
Here
I've
we
got
go,
this and then I just capitulated. But yeah, I consume a good amount of Starbucks.
This is I like where this conversation is going. I'd say that how about this? Let me throw a curveball. I'm actually loyal to some writers like Matt Levine from Bloomberg.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
I
that's
will-
a good one.
I will
Definitely.
read. I will wait for his take on anything. Like I'll let
Very
some
good.
stories fly by. I know I'll read. Bill Simmons podcast is another one. I'm grandfathered in. I
Yeah.
will listen to his take about anything about basketball and film, even though I don't necessarily agree with all of them. Yeah, I'm loyal. Like I'll seek that out, like the way Jack had described that.
That's a good one on content. Yeah, probably more brand
like
loyal to some of those.
And it's a very NIA thing. Where
I
we
mean,
tell
also,
everybody at
sorry
the
to
start
answer what my one obvious one is Arsenal because it's like that's
Yeah,
more than
no,
that's
but-
like
no, but
That's a
there you
good
go.
one.
tattoo
That's a great
on
one.
the chest vibe. You know,
No, but that's it, right? That's
like it's
actually-
almost impossible to be rational in any discussion around it. It's like anytime someone talks to, even with other Arsenal fans, I don't want to talk about it. Like it's not. I can't. It's too much.
I'll
you know what I mean?
blog about it. I'll run a blog.
Seriously.
A semi-popular blog, but I didn't know I'm gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Other like a guy.
What
again,
about the Great British Isles, Jack? What
No,
about
here,
that?
Christopher
Would you
Nolan.
say that, or the USA as a brand, or the UK, or
No,
Vietnam, or
all
Canada?
We're all in on that.
No, bro, Christopher Nolan. I'll watch anything he makes.
Okay, that's a
loyal.
good one too.
That's
Yeah.
good.
I'll throw one out similar to Jack's. Wendy's. I'm very loyal to Wendy's. I'm not gonna say I'll seek it out, but if I'm driving and it's in a 5-block radius, like a 5-square block radius, and I haven't eaten yet, I'm gonna pull up and get a spicy chicken and a
What do
JBC.
you order? What do you order? Spicy chicken.
Spicy
Spicy
chicken,
chicken.
JBC. When I want to be healthy, I won't eat the fries. That's my way of being healthy.
Respect.
Not eating the fries, but I'm also eating like 1,000 calories of burger. Even though people keep telling me Wendy's has gone downhill since like some private equity stuff got involved. I don't know, man. All tastes the same to me. It's just the
Oh,
spicy
you know
chicken.
what, boys? I got another one. Booze. I bet you both got a booze brand you don't defect from.
You know what? I did. It was Coors Light for the longest time because it was like 3.5%, 4%. I just
Yeah, Trump coming in hot with the
Silver bullet,
Wendy's and Coors Light today. Yo, my guy, killing
Well, what
it.
are you? Well, give me the numbers.
Well, actually, this will transition us to the next question really quick because it's related. Melted Laughter asks, why is Guinness killing it right now? They have always been an OG in the branding game, but what is the critical mass that's been reaching its Irish influence on
This is a great
monoculture?
question.
And real quick,
Mate.
I will say it was St. Patrick's Day, so happy
Yesterday,
St. Patrick's Day to-
8 days ago at this point.
yeah, but we're in the future right now.
Yeah.
I will say if people do, if you do drink and you like Guinness Zero, which is the non-alcoholic version, is very
wow.
good, and it's been sold out around New York. Anywhere I've been going, they haven't had it. But
Can we do the following?
Mate, a
Can we
little
do this?
crossover. They had an Abercrombie collab.
Did they
Really?
actually?
Too,
Guinness?
Guinness. Yeah.
No way.
Yo,
They've
this-
been doing loads of stuff like that. They got McLaren,
It
Guinness,
is amazing.
Ford. They've got a bunch of like
It's a good
racing teams, booze brands, all sorts of stuff.
because
No, guys, I have the answer for you. I have the answer, but I want to do this. Can you guys do the following? Well, Bilal, drop your comment, but can you give the names of the alcohol brands you're loyal to? Or
No,
you
that's
think
what I
you're
was
loyal
saying.
to?
Guinness
Yeah.
Zero specifically. I
Okay.
do like because you know I don't really partake as much, so that was the move for me. But basically, one of the things I was going to bring up about them is, do you notice when you go into a bar with Guinness, they've got like their own Guinness tap. Like often you'll see
that
just
giant
generic
thing.
taps,
The
but they'll have a
Pelican.
Guinness one specifically. Oh,
That's not
Heineken
Pelican,
sometimes.
Toucan, right?
Oh yeah, but there's this whole methodology, obviously, right? Like you have to pour it, then let it sit there for a while, and then
Double
do
pour.
the double pour, and then you've got the split the G thing. There's all these like old, kind of like what's the word for that? Kind of traditions, like ways of and because of that. There'll be a thing of like, oh, how good's the pint of Guinness? There's literally a TikTok guy I've seen, this posh English guy, who's just going around the world trying to find the best pint of Guinness. It's quite like the things people can do in the creator economy, boys. There we go. But this guy, I mean, he's quite a funny dude. But he's just
Take
going
one
around,
idea
and
take it
it does make a
seriously, right,
difference,
boys?
Yeah, exactly. It does make a difference because I lived in Ireland for a while, and people obviously very. Have you guys been to the Guinness factory or whatever it is, storehouse or
No.
whatever it's called?
Yeah, I've been.
Say
yeah.
more.
In
I've
Ireland,
been.
yeah, but they take you through the whole process, how the brewery essentially, and they explain how to pour a perfect pint, and they'll say if you go to like a really good place where they know what they're doing, they'll say it's all about the pipes and it's all about how fast you're getting through the keg or whatever. Which kind of makes it's like anything. It's like the fresher it is. If you got a loaf of bread that's been sitting there for 4 days versus baked fresh this morning, it's obviously going to be fresher and nicer. So it's similar here, but it could also just be great branding. Let's be honest.
No, but I was about to say
Most
they're
people can't even
crushing.
tell the difference.
So, Bilal, you like Guinness Zero?
Yeah, specifically.
Well, here's a data point from The Economist. It doubled its sales in 2024 for Guinness Zero.
Yeah,
It's
that's why I think they're all out because they didn't make
ripping.
enough. Yeah.
So Jack, what about you? What was your beverage? I can go into more about Guinness's success in the recent years.
And
actually,
Coors Light.
yeah.
There we go.
Well,
Modelo
Coors Light,
for me,
maybe
boys.
less.
Beer of
Modelo,
choice.
there we go.
What is
That's
it?
a Modelo, and then
Modelo.
Modelo.
and then there's a brand that the local bar here has called Long Drink. Have you heard of it?
Oh yeah, isn't that
love it,
Finnish?
man.
It's like it's like a
Finnish.
sweet.
It used to be an Olympic like celebratory drink in Finland. It's gin and grapefruit, like carbonated gin and
Oh,
grapefruit.
there we go.
Insane summer drink.
Jack.
Jack
And I-
loves
I
a
went
good
to-
shandy too, Jack. I've
Yes.
been with you when you get a shandy.
Modelo and Sprite.
real
I do
English.
a Modelo and Sprite. Yeah.
There we go.
Nobody I've introduced to that has said it's a bad idea.
Oh, yeah.
What, long drink?
And
Long
the,
drink. Or Modelo and Sprite.
both.
Okay.
the
Similar
shandy,
ideas.
you can really get converts in the US when
I
they're
just
like,
love the word
"What?
shandy because to me, when me and Jack first met, I remember you saying we were texting. We'd be like, Jack was like, "We'll have a couple of shandies," and I remember showing it to Melina, being like, "I haven't heard the word shandy since like my best friend as a kid. His grandma loves shandies, which is it's just more. I would say it was more like a very English thing. I don't know, is it an English thing?
It's an older generational
Yeah,
thing
or it
too.
might
yeah,
not
it's
be just
very
English to be honest, but yeah.
Well, you know
I just love
lager
that.
top. Bilal, you
What?
know lager top. You heard of that
Go on, what's
language
that?
before? That's like
Not especially.
a
Oh, you
less
mean the-
intense shandy.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
lager
okay.
top would be 3/4 lager, split the G on the lager, and then fill the rest with lemonade.
Explain split the G. Explain split the G, guys. That's one of
on
the reasons.
on a Guinness glass where the logo is printed, the first pour should go up to the divider of the G,
There we go.
and then the second pour.
And then when
takes
they
up to
drink
the
it
top.
too, when you drink it, people
The
say
first,
split.
right? You're trying
yeah,
to
the
split
first
it.
one.
Like it's a competition. It's
Trying to get the trying to drink the most first.
There we go.
But long drink, I would honestly invest in that company if I had the opportunity.
Or
I
the
think it's gonna
equivalent.
absolutely crush.
Well, Jack, you'll love this. Have you been to Helsinki or Finland?
No.
As part of, I discovered long drink in my 4-day excursion to Helsinki. Your
Oh,
boy
nice.
had 8 to 10 long drinks a day.
But not of this brand, right? Like actual, like made on the spot.
No, I
stuff,
literally just
or
went
was
to
it-
the bar and said, "Give me long drink." That's all I said. I looked around at other Finnish people.
But it come in
and
a
they're
glass
all-
or a can?
Yeah, it came in a glass. They're
Yeah.
drinking it from a tap. So I was just like, what are you doing, sir? And then he'd look at me. Well, this actually funny part of my Helsinki trip. Bilal, I don't want to make this about ethnicities, but obviously there's immigration issues, a lot of brown people in Helsinki. But no, the reason why I bring it up is because, listen, I got a little bit of profiling, but so did some of my brown brothers that I was walking around with, and I wasn't appreciating it too much. But here was a highlight from the Helsinki trip. We're after probably 10 solid long drinks, went to a fried chicken place at 2 a.m.
There we go.
Some other imbibed locals were trying to cut in line, and no. Yeah, this ain't. I'm not some Asian tourist from Beijing here. This is Trung Phan from Vancouver, Canada. Like, get in line. And this guy literally just went. Could not believe that this Asian dude wouldn't let him cut through. He's like, "You are the cockiest Asian I've ever met." I'm like,
"Oh, he said that? That's
like, bro,
wild.
how many Asians have you met?"
That's a Twitter bio right there.
There we go. Yeah, that needs to be a new Twitter bio.
You are the cockiest Asian I've ever met. Dash random Finnish guy at 3 a.m. chicken spot.
That's wild.
Wait, yeah, I don't want to dig on Beijing. It could have been Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, but they probably thought it was just some dude that was ready to roll over. But anyway,
also real quick on that, on the drink side, because we can move on from that in a minute. But again, not very loyal. But when I was more on that vibe, Hibiki, the whiskey from Japan, is also a great brand. That was for a long time. They similar to the Guinness situation. It became really popular, and then they couldn't just produce more so quickly, so the price went through the roof as well. Pretty mad. If this, because you think of like that whiskey, like it's like 18 years or however many years. You don't. If
you lose a year,
sold,
the supply just gets clapped.
Supply just messed up, and the price went up like 5x from the time that I went to Japan to like now, pretty much. But anyway, should we move on, boys? Because we got a few more here.
Well,
but
let's just round up the Guinness thing. Oh, we kind of touched on all the things that made a huge 250-year-old brand, incredible marketing, and similar story to Abercrombie and Fitch. Actually, a lot of the themes are coming on this episode. It really expanded into the female market. Guinness in the past 5 years. I don't know if this is correct. Blah. It seems like you enjoyed the zero, but. What's Guinness? It's a little bit less fizzy, right? It's a little bit less fizzy than other beers,
like darker,
which makes
it's a little creamy. It feels creamy, even though it's not really actually creamy. And it's just like in a winter vibe. It's pretty good. So that's
and you feel less. Was it when you drink way too much? Like, right, you're bloated.
Well,
you feel less bloated
and stuff. But also, Jack, do you remember the ads growing up? Maybe it was the same here, Trung, or in Canada. Do you remember the ads where they would say Guinness was good for you? Do you remember this?
Yeah, it's like a drink for breakfast,
right? It's got loads of iron in it.
Yeah.
No, but I think that was the appeal to the open up the market.
I never got into it, boys. I will like force drink it on St. Paddy's Day for the.
If you get if it's good, yeah, I know what you mean. I was the same when I moved to Ireland. It was I wouldn't have been able to finish one.
Mate, there's so much alcohol like that where it's like you're forcing yourself to partake in this thing that's supposed to be good, but it's not, you know.
Not Coors Light.
Give me a Sprite and a Modelo.
No, Coors Light is ridiculous.
That goes down like water.
Yeah, that's the wildest thing.
It goes down like water. It goes down like water.
It does go down water, yeah.
Because it literally is water. It's like 3.5%.
Yeah.
Wait, Bilal, hold on. Can you tell the listeners, before we move on to the next question, about your time in Ireland? Tell us about having a Guinness pint in Ireland.
I'll tell you my first, and I feel a bit bad because my, Muslim parents might listen to this, but it's all good. But it's my first day in Ireland, January 2010. It was snowing outside. I didn't know anyone. I went out on my own to like have dinner, and I went to this little gastro pub in D4, Dublin 4, if anyone's from that area, Ballsbridge. And I had fish and chips, and then I asked the server, I was like, it's my first night here. I've just moved there. Where should I go? I don't know anyone. And they pointed across the street to a place called Slattery's, which ended up being the pub that everyone went to after work, basically every day. So I went there. As I was walking past, I saw an old guy there smoking. I kind of nodded at him, not planning to go in. And then, Irish people are pretty friendly. So we ended up just chatting on the street in the snow. And then he's like, oh, sure, you got to come in for a pint. And then I went in with him. And 4 hours later, I was still there with him and some old dudes. And I would, for the time I lived there, I ended up seeing them pretty much every week at that same place because they would be there all the time. And that was the first time they got me a pint of Guinness, and I was like,
at the Slattery.
Yeah, at the Slattery's, yeah. And I literally couldn't. I mean, I took a few sips. I was like, I couldn't have it. And I remember them saying it tastes like coffee and chocolate. And when they said that, that was the transition. If you just think of that in your mind, Jack, that is the move.
All right, thank you for the tip.
There we go. Yeah, if you really want to go down that route. But anyway, all right. Anything else on that, boys, before we move on? Lots of good chatting. I'm glad we went AMA first.
Yeah,
good decision.
I can't believe the things that got weaved. The weave. We're doing
the weave. Yeah. Oh, my God. All right. So that was a great question. Thanks, Elena, for that one. This another one from Ola. He said balancing enjoying life and building your career or professional self in your 20s. He didn't actually ask a question, but I'm assuming he means what's your advice for balancing enjoying life and prioritizing your career in your 20s specifically. Any thoughts on that? I guess we've all had to do that.
I'm conflicted on this one, actually. Do you guys have any answers off the top of your head?
I think there's like some conflated expectations there where like you're basically in pursuit of a solution that provides both. And as long as you don't recognize, like as long as you do, maybe you have a disposition that can accept the disparity in enjoyment between working and not working. But I think there's some truth to the at least in my experience, the level of accomplishment you can achieve is directly tied to how much you enjoy your work. So early in your life, or early in your career, it's like run as many experiments as you can. Like, was it luck needs surface area? It's like try stuff, experiment. It feels like the amount of energy you have in your 20s gives you like a wide berth on experimentation, and the like ability to pivot or the amount of accrued experience and responsibility is way less than 10 years, 20 years in the future. So you have optionality by default. But I feel like maybe the idea of balance is pretty misguided in a lot of cases, especially if like your career is important to you as like a defining part of your life. I think having that aspiration and also like over-indexing on quote unquote balance, which I'm reading into the question as like balance means not thinking about your work, not
work-life
like
balance,
being able to detach from it mentally, right?
Yeah.
And I think at any period in my life when I've been engaged with the work I'm doing and the most happy with the work I'm doing, I can't shut my brain off about it. And that's like,
that's a good
unfortunately,
point.
that's the trade-off, right? It's like the thing that really drives you and you're curious about and you care about is there's always these paradoxical qualities to them where grass is always greener. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I could, you see the benefit in something like I worked in Honda for 9 months, right? I'm not thinking about that when I punch the clock out at the end of the day. You put the last exhaust on and you're like, bang, your mind is empty from that point until you go back in.
And you are going direct to a Ryanair, the Ryanair terminal.
Exactly, yeah. You're going straight to Ibiza, exactly. You do your 3-day weekend in Ibiza and you come back, bang, you punch the clock again. But the idea that you have some, esoteric, intellectual, purposeful pursuit is, I've yet to meet somebody who's like struck a balance in the same way there. It's like people have written a lot of stuff about it. Some of it is like super cliche. It's like the idea of harmony between these two things. But my experience has just not been that at all. It's like maniacal. You do have like feast and famine cycles, I guess, along the way, or I have had that. Like something really sticks and something's really resonating with the market and you're feeding on that energy for a period of time. Then you have like slower and calmer periods of time where you're trying to figure out the next thing. But like obsession is really an ever-present ingredient with somebody who has that mentality or that ambition in my experience.
That's a good point. I was going to say, Trung, real quick, I'll say mine because there's this old quote which I probably, when I was 18, loved this quote. And then over the years, it might have gone up and down a little bit. But he said the master in the art of living makes little distinction between his work and his play, his labor and his leisure, his mind and his body, his information and his recreation, his love and his religion. He hardly knows which is which. He simply pursues his vision of excellence at whatever he does, leaving others to decide whether he's working or playing. To him, he's always doing both. And I still probably agree with a lot of that. And I think ideally you do find that in your work. And I would say at times I definitely have had that. But kind of going back to his original question, which was balancing enjoying life and building your career, right? So that assumes, I'm not saying you meant this, Ola, but balancing life is on another end of the spectrum to pursuing your career. And it's kind of what Jack was saying. It's like, also your career is not all of your life. So to me, it's like your life is multiple parts. You've got your work, your whatever you're doing professionally, creatively. You've got your relationships, your family, friends, significant other. You've got your physical, mental well-being. Like there's different parts to your actual life. So to me, I would just see that is one part of your life. And if you were grading all of those out of 10, like 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, most times in your life, nothing is 10 out of 10. Not everything isn't 10 out of 10 at the same time. Normally there's some compensation. Like if you're 10 on your career or money, you might be like a 3 on your personal relationships because you have to sacrifice to a certain extent. Or like your family, like for me, I moved away from family. So even I still have a very good connection with them. Like obviously it's different to actually being in the same city and seeing them all the time. So to me, that's how I've always thought about it. It's like balance is not necessarily just about even just a career versus everything else. It's about all parts of that and accepting the phases in your life, the chapters where you're going to have a 3 out of 10 for some things because you're locked in on something, and it's for you to decide when that is. So for me, in 20s is a great time to lock in on a lot of work, but also where you can, if you just play to the strengths of it. Like I had a job I actually really liked. It wasn't entrepreneurial, like my own thing, but I still learned a lot, earned a decent amount of money, and I traveled a crazy amount. I left the country and grew as a person because of that. I made amazing friends. Did all that sort of stuff. So I feel like I did both of those things. I think I did build my career and enjoy my life at the same time. But that wasn't a 10 out of 10. A 10 out of 10 was me being self-employed or starting a company or doing something like that. And then when I left to go to Charity Water, that was, I wanted 10 out of 10 in like meaning and feeling like I was having an impact beyond just earning money and stuff. So it's just, they're different phases. So that's how I think about it. Anything from you, Trung?
No, I love that. I'll just jump. I mean, I agree with everything you guys said there. And the only thing I'd say is looking at my own life, I actually believe, I don't regret anything I've done, but I wish, if I was telling myself younger, I'd say definitely go harder on like, the work stuff, as in don't be reading like fucking Eat, Pray, Love and like blown away your 20s, right? Like you got to establish something, and the counter to that, the other side of the coin is if you don't do that, you're going to have a family and kids and you're going to wish you had all that time.
That's true.
Because as Jack, obviously Bilal, you're in a long-term relationship too. It's like, man, the time pie that you have, how quickly it goes away is insane. Like, I'll just give you, my kid takes up 80% of my mental bandwidth, right? So think about your life in your early 20s. Think about all the mental bandwidth you have. Now imagine 80% of that's gone. It's just like, or 50% of that's gone. And just use that wisely, right? Is go hard. And I'll jump on what Jack said is like, I think, and what Bilal said too is like, it's not a dichotomy. I don't think it is. It's not about work-life balance. It's like, if you can align both, it's actually the best case scenario because you don't want to be stamping out, in Jack's case, the muffler and then like going straight to pizza. It's like if you could be spending your day like compounding.
You do not want to be doing that past 21 if you can help it, man.
If you want to, if you can do something, you should actually be searching for something. Jack said is like, it's not necessarily, again, Bilal talks about this all the time about the passion thing. It's not don't do something you're passionate. It's like you actually just need to do something, and the emergent quality of actually having fun is something that comes up. You know, David Deutsch actually has something called do you know the physicist David Deutsch? He wrote he's got a lot of Infinity. What was it called? Going
Infinity or whatever.
Yeah, you know the book, right?
Wait,
No, but
David, I forgot. I literally have
he has
it
a
on my
really
thing.
fun. He has an
It's
idea
called the beginning of infinity.
Beginning of
Infinity,
Infinity. Sorry,
yeah,
there
yeah.
you go. Jack,
He has a really. He has a.
Jack's, I'm googling it to make sure because I forgot the name as well.
Because he does stuff with Naval, right? And he talks.
Yeah,
he has
he's
this
great.
idea.
Yeah, incredible.
He did that
Naval
pod with him
also-
recently as well, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, on Tim Ferriss, he did a thing where he reiterates this idea. It's
We're
called the
talking
fun
about giving
criterion.
your, no, this was this the one where we're talking about giving the
there
kids
was
Haagen Dazs, or that was
it's like
another one?
extreme. It's like extreme parenting. I could talk about that, but that's a separate idea.
Yeah.
But the fun criterion is actually a very it's a profound idea. Sounds simple, but you actually dig into it, it's actually quite smart. So here I'll lay it out, and I like your guys' thoughts on it. David Deutsch is basically like, you should pursue activities that feel fun, and that I know that sounds like really basic and superficial at the top, but he's not saying like, oh, go out, fucking get hammered and play video games all night. That's not what he means by fun. What he means is start an activity, and when it feels fun during the actual doing an activity, it's an emergent property. And what he's trying to say is that feeling, that emergent property, is actually telling you something about yourself that you should just keep doing whatever that thing is. And this isn't like a binary thing. It's not like, hey, go do Molly and party until 7 a.m, right? That's not the idea of fun. He's saying, what are you doing that is actually bringing this joy that gets you into this kind of flow state? And the way he describes it is this. Imagine you're playing tennis, right? There's kind of like two parts of your brain. There's actually three. He's like, okay, you can verbalize something, right? Bilal, imagine we're playing tennis and I'm serving at you. If the ball's, when I'm serving, I'm saying, I'm going to try to get it into the back corner, right? So that is an explicit part of your brain. And then as the ball's coming towards you, you're having what he calls an inexplicit reaction. You're just reacting to the ball coming to you. And you're like, you're seeing that it might go out of bounds, so you let it go out of bounds, right? But when that happens, you're not being like waiting for your brain to tell you, hey, ball's going to go out of bounds, and verbalize in your head. You're reacting to it coming, right? Yeah. So he's like, that's kind of another part of the human experience where afterwards you can rationalize it, but in the moment, you're actually you're not overthinking it, right? And then the third thing he says is there's just things going on that are completely unconscious. We don't even realize. And that's just, think about all the muscles and sensory neuron activity that's going on when you're playing tennis. Can you explain every single thing that's happening? Of course not, right? And he's just being like, there's 3 levels to kind of how the brain operates. And the feeling of fun is an emergent property that is kind of balancing out these 3 things. And this is the whole point he's making is this feeling of intuition, you should not let your kind of editor self override it. You shouldn't let the language verbal override it. If you've ever had doubts and your brain like talked down to you, that's what he's basically saying. He's like, listen, your brain has multiple ways to operate. You can't just let verbal dominate. But the problem with verbal is it is so powerful. And let me tie this all up with one idea I want to give to you guys to make sure I'm not completely losing the listeners here. So Cormac McCarthy, super famous writer, one of the great American authors, probably the last 50 years. A Blood Meridian, No Country for Old Men. He wrote those books. He wrote one nonfiction paper. It's called The Kukuli Problem. And what he was basically saying was that language in the scope of mankind, or the homo genius, the line where humanity comes from, call it 2 million years, right? So mankind goes about, Homo erectus, or the Homo genus goes back about 2 million years. So our ancestors go back about 2 million years. Language is 100,000 years old. So language, which he would say was like in the South African caves on the wall, that's 5% of the entire human experience, which means for 95% of the evolutionary line of humans, there was no language. There was no written word. But in the last 100,000 years, particularly in the last 10,000 years, language, the ability to write and communicate in words, has completely invaded the human experience. And the point Cormac McCarthy is saying, very, very similar to David Deutsch, is the unconscious mind has operated without language for the vast majority of the human evolutionary experience. So he's basically saying, you should not override that intuition. That intuition might be more powerful than the rational mind. Do you guys see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw what I just said to you guys, and how does it go back to work-life balance? It goes back to the fun criterion. Do activities, see if that emerges, that feeling of fun, because it's telling you something about yourself that you can't rationalize. And that will make it more likely that you'll do the Jack Butcher, the famous chart, this is pointless. If you feel that fun, it's more likely you can persist, go through the ups and downs. Like Bilal had mentioned, careers, there's ups and downs. It's not just all the way up, right? So
it's not linear as well. Yeah.
There's that intuition. It's telling you something, and it might be more powerful than your ability to articulate. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does.
Go on.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually
another reference.
Go on.
The last 5 minutes of Not Investment Advice, episode 66.
I love that you know the number as well.
Take a little rewind back to that. Michael Saylor describing the professional landscape, right? Like that idea that if you want to win, if you want to compete. No, I'm talking about what's the advice you'd give a 20-year-old? Do you remember he said that?
It was one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah, remind us.
Yeah, just a really powerful, coming at the idea from the opposite end. It's like the idea that you will be able to compete at something that you don't enjoy or are not good at is where you should start from. And then if you go another great reference, I think there's a longer unpacking of this, but a Navalism is the 3 most important decisions you'll make in your 20s are what you work on, who you're with, and where you
live, right? Yeah,
and you should think deeply about those things. And I know in my answer I was experiment on a bunch of stuff, but broadly speaking, I think that's referencing something like if you want to build technology and you have the ability to physically move somewhere, there's only a few places
San Francisco. Go
in
to
the
San
world
Francisco.
where that makes the most sense, right? If you're able to, and if you're if that is not an option, then it's find that part of the internet that talks about and builds and is transparent about that process, and the internet can become that place for people. But yeah, it's I think to even be thinking about that in your early 20s, I think you're in a great position, I would say too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I definitely didn't. I kind of stumbled into the design stuff early in my career and never really had a concrete plan. It was just you chase the thing that you're kind of good at. And for me, it wasn't even initially, it wasn't even about the discipline or the process itself. It's the satisfaction of solving a problem or producing an outcome that moves something from 0 to 1 or 1 to 2. And that exists in all these different places. And I think people listening to this podcast are probably more indexed on that side of things, right? Contributing to something new or trying to spin something up from scratch. And that none of that, there's no linear advice for anybody that has that ambition. There's obviously great material out there and there's amazing people you can learn from, but it's so much of it is just increased luck surface area, right? All these asymmetric downstream effects of just trying stuff, doing stuff, connecting to people, do something great, and the network will emerge as another Naval-ism right there.
Hold on. I want to jump on Jack identifying episode 66. We also should just have that clip play because it's amazing.
If you come back to the metaphor of laser eyes, the whole point of laser eyes is, yes, you have 100 opinions, but the world only cares about one. Yes, you can do 100 things, but the world only wants to pay you to do one thing. Right? And once you do that one thing, if you have a modicum of success and you start thinking that you can do a second, a third, and a fourth thing, you're wrong. You can't. Right? Because when you're the most successful person in your niche and you're doing the one thing, there's someone that's smarter than you, more talented than you, that has more to gain, less to lose, that wants to replace you. And they're thinking about that 80 hours a week. And you're deciding to put your thing on autopilot and move on to conquer some new thing because, that's what, alpha males do. When you think about that, you just remember what happened to Napoleon when he charged into Russia, and then Hitler when he charged into Russia, and then Napoleon when he charged into Egypt, and then Julius Caesar when he charged into Egypt. It's people reach too far, right? And then it slips from their grasp. because you have to run as hard as you can with 150% focus in order to keep your position in a world that is continually wanting to squeeze you out, and it won't miss you.
He literally just goes, what does he say? He's like, but yeah, you're running, you're in first place. The second you stop, right? Somebody else that has more to lose, is hungrier than you, is coming after a spot. He's like, basically, if you try to do a second thing, you're toast. Do one thing. Yeah. And you know, this is
find the greatest
Naval,
pint of Guinness on earth.
No, but Jack, this is actually very related to Naval also. It's like the idea of how internet makes you compete with the entire world. You have to be pointy because the outcome for the best in any sliver of any trade is so enormous, right? It's so outsized. Like the power laws to the nth degree, that if you're not being pointy, if you're not really truly having like one super skill, and it's fine. Like I have certain skills and I suck at everything else. That's fine, because being medium at everything, you're just not going to be able to compete with the entire world on the internet, right? That's literally what's happening now. If you can't split the G, don't try to get in the Guinness game, buddy. Like, if you ain't split the G 99 out of 100 times you're drinking that, that's not the competition for you.
Yeah, there's someone who's doing it on TikTok with exponential upside of the algorithm. But anything else on that before we wrap it up, boys? Because this will be an hour already.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Good.
All right. Thanks, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll see you guys next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.